This is a Fangirls Going Rogue priority transmission.
All team, give it everything you got!
It's time to fangirl flail with Fangirls Going Rogue.
Count me in.
I don't think there's anything more important in the Star Wars universe than the fans.
News, discussion, and commentary from the female point of view.
You call this a diplomatic solution?
No, I call it aggressive negotiations.
With your hosts, Teresa Delgado, Tricia Barr, and Sarah Woloski.
Boy, am I glad to hear your voice.
Strap in, because this is where the fun begins.
I like the sound of that.
Hi, Yub Cubbers. This is Tricia Barr, one of the hosts of Fangirls Going Rogue. We've had interviews with Ewan McGregor, Moses Ingram, and Deborah Chow for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And today we have a special interview with the one and only Hayden Christensen. This interview was one of my favorites of all time in podcasting. Hayden talks about bringing Anakin Skywalker to life. It's clear that Hayden Christensen is a Star Wars fan and also has studied and thought about this character maybe more than all of us. Or maybe he says there might be one person who knows more than him. But you'll have to stay tuned and see who he thinks that is. This was just a joy and delight. And I just want to thank the great questions that came from the team on this and a little bit of the explanation. Hayden's interview came later than the roundtables that we did with Ewan McGregor, Moses Ingram, and Deborah Chow. And so James Burns of Jedi News Network couldn't join us as he was in transit to Celebration. So Dan Zehr of Coffee with Kenobi will be asking his questions, and then Caitlin Plesher and Charlotte Errity of Skytalkers are also on there asking their questions, as am I. Hope you will enjoy this interview as much as we did making it.
Well, Hayden, pleasure to meet you, good sir.
Nice to see you all.
Yeah, this is great. It's great to have you. You're working episode 2 and 3 to find Anakin and the Skywalkers for generations of fans. And now you're able to add more nuance and complexity with his other self, Darth Vader. What's important to you about portraying Vader, and what challenges were present to you as you're under that mask?
Yeah, I mean, just what a cool opportunity to get to come back and sort of continue with this character. I guess sort of the overriding thought for me when playing Vader is that he is Anakin Skywalker, and so all of that inner conflict and everything that I put into that performance, has to sort of follow through into this as well. Obviously we're at a different point with this character. He's at a different place in his life, but he's very much trying to reconcile his past, and a lot of that is sort of where my focus was.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Errity from Skytalkers, and first I wanted to say, Hayden, your performance as Anakin Skywalker made me a fan for life. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I wanted to know, do you view Anakin and Vader as two different characters, and how did you take your interpretation of that character into your performance in Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've always seen Darth Vader as Anakin Skywalker. He's just experienced a lot of change. He's had this sort of radical ideological shift, and suffered some very severe battle wounds, but the man behind the mask is Anakin. But there's also this really interesting struggle of self-identity that is inherent in this character. And that I find very compelling as well. And so in this we get to explore a little bit of that, and Vader is trying to kill that part of himself, and so that is his pursuit of Obi-Wan. Him wanting to kill Obi-Wan is him trying to deal with that, you know.
I don't have the beautiful British accent that James does, but I'll just talk like
that's all right. We forgive you.
Thank you. Well, it's been 20 years since Attack of the Clones, and appreciation for the film seems to get better year after year. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I don't know that I can really answer that one, but it's been really nice to sort of see how the films have continued to sort of have like staying power, and having new sort of generations of fans, you know, now grow up with the prequels, has been really meaningful for me. You know, certainly it was a bit of a challenge when those films came out, and you know, a lot of critics were very critical. But my experience with the fans has always been really positive, you know, and I've gotten to sort of go to some fan conventions now, and it means a lot to me to get to, you know, meet people and have them sort of share what those films mean to them, and what this character means to them, and yeah, it's been, you know, really nice.
Tricia Barr from Fangirls Going Rogue podcast. Welcome back to Star Wars, Hayden.
Thank you.
For all of us, the Clone Wars has been an important part of our relationship with Star Wars, and we know that you've watched some. So how did that inform your performance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how specifically it informed my performance, but I just tried to sort of educate myself as much as possible in coming back to this role. And you know, I really enjoyed the work that they did on that series. And they did a lot with this character, you know. I think sort of Dave Filoni understands this character, you know, as well, or maybe even better than I do. And so, you know, subconsciously how that sort of informed things, I can't say, but I'm glad I got to watch them, and I'm a fan of them now too.
So let's look at the lightsaber aspect of this. How has the technology and choreography changed between filming episode 3 and Obi-Wan Kenobi? And I'm totally not looking for spoilers. So even when you watched your buddy Ewan fight and Moses train as well.
Yeah, well, the lightsabers have come a long way too. I mean, sort of all the technology has just continued to progress. You know, when we were doing the prequels, they were just, you know, metal rods that they would wrap with colored tape, and then they would light them up, you know, with digital effects afterwards. And you know, when we were working with those, after every fight or every take, the lightsabers would be all warped and disfigured, and they'd have to change them out for a new one. And you know, we'd go through like dozens and dozens of them. And now on this show, the lightsabers are made of a different material, and that they hold up much better, and they also light up too, which is yeah, pretty neat. And you know, having that sort of light interaction just sort of adds to the whole thing, you know.
Hi, Hayden. I'm Caitlin, the other half of Skytalkers podcast.
Hi, Caitlin.
Hi. My question kind of also talks about the technology. The prequel trilogy pioneered a new type of filmmaking, but was certainly not without its challenges. How does it feel to step onto a set like The Volume and realize that everything you did in the prequel trilogy was ultimately leading to this kind of filmmaking experience?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I you know, when we were doing the prequels, one, it was all very new for me. You know, I was 19 at the time, and I didn't really have much experience to sort of compare it to. And I had spent a lot of time sort of studying theater. And so for me, I always kind of just likened it to being on stage, where it required a lot of your imagination. And you know, I really enjoyed getting to watch the films afterwards, because there was that sort of fresh experience, even for the actors, of just being like, wow, you know, that's what that, you know, actually ended up looking like. Now with the technology that they employ with the stagecraft volumes, it's a huge step forward. You know, as an actor, having your environment there to, you know, react to and respond to, and it just makes the whole experience that much more visceral. And you know, as a fan of Star Wars, stepping into the volume and seeing it all there for you, it's pretty awesome.
Obviously, in Revenge of the Sith, you got to be the iconic Darth Vader for a brief amount of screen time. But what is it like now, coming back to that role after almost 20 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really meaningful for me to get to come back and explore the character at this point in the timeline. You know, when I was doing the prequels, all my time was spent with Anakin Skywalker. Obviously, you know, he gets knighted Darth Vader, and there's you know, a noticeable sort of shift in his perspective and demeanor. But of course, when the suit comes on, that really sort of changes the way we perceive him. You know, getting to come back and put the costume back on again was just a very special thing for me. And it was a very emotional experience as well. You know, very sort of cathartic too. You know, there was a definite kind of release there, because this is a character that has stayed with me over the years, and getting to play him again was pretty huge.
We understand that Deborah Chow, your director, was the person who convinced you to come back and do this. Can you tell us about working with her?
Yeah, well, it didn't really take much convincing. I should say that. But yeah, the first time I met Deborah, we kind of instantly hit it off. She's, you know, an extremely impressive person. And just listening to her talk about Star Wars and about these characters, it was really clear to me that she got it, and that everyone was in good hands with her. And I was really sort of just looking forward to following her lead, you know. Of course, I think, you know, everyone working on a Star Wars project sort of feels a great responsibility to George Lucas, and that was something that, you know, we also spoke about. But you know, this is her story, and I think she's done something really special here.
Your performance in episode 2 and 3 are, to me, fantastic. I love the anger, the rage you're able to tap into. You really made us feel this character, and it's something that stayed with all of us for generations. And as a side note, I love you in Shattered Glass. You're, to me, Oscar worthy, honestly, truly great. But so you know, you said you were 19 when you filmed the prequel. So how have you changed as an actor from the prequel trilogy to everything you've done through now, and how did that enhance your performance for Obi-Wan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to sort of be that kind of self-observant in a way, but certainly sort of, you know, the older we get, sort of the more we have to bring to our work, you know, the more kind of life experience that we have, the more we can apply that, you know, to whatever the kind of the task is. And, you know, in my case, it's acting. And you know, it's been sort of just an interesting exercise in my craft in that respect. You know, coming back to a character that I played so long ago, you know, now at this time in my life, I can only sort of assume that it helps, you know, but we'll see.
I wanted to ask you what Star Wars means to you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it means so much. My experience working on the prequels was one of the most formative experiences for me. It was such a great honor to get to play this character and work with the people that I did. But I'm also, you know, a fan like you guys, and what these stories mean to me as a fan are huge. You know, I think the sort of the messaging and the themes that are contained in them are really important. And especially as I get older and now as a father, you know, I think these stories are a means for us to kind of learn about ourselves and about life, and just the kind of the pure escapism that they offer too. You know, is incredibly valuable, and nothing else kind of excites the imagination the way that Star Wars does.
James would like to know if you had any residual muscle memory in your lightsaber prowess.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, there was, you know, a little bit of rust I had to brush off, but it is kind of like riding a bike. You know, we trained so hard when we were doing the prequels, and you know, I got to spend so much time with Nick Gillard, and he was, you know, amazing at what he did, and his contribution to Star Wars is huge. And you know, that was part of, you know, what was most fun for me was going in for lightsaber training, and you know, getting to spend the time with Nick and with Ewan and some of the other people. You know, that was some of my favorite stuff. And so picking up a lightsaber again and, you know, kind of giving it the old Anakin twirl, it kind of came back pretty easy.
Hayden, why do you think Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker are such an iconic character in mythology?
Yeah, well, you know, I think one, just the design of the character is so successful, you know, and there are, you know, I think a few people that contributed to that, and you know, the breathing and James Earl Jones's voice, it just really works. You know, I think the sort of the mythology of this character also really sort of resonates with people. You know, when I was first auditioning for Star Wars to play this character, you know, of course I was really excited about the possibility of getting to play in Star Wars, but I was also just really sort of taken with the character arc, and the notion that we were going to explore how someone goes from good to bad, and I think there's a lot to kind of learn there. And for me, you know, it really sort of allows you to think about concepts of you know, kind of destiny and free will, and the way that we can perhaps empathize with Anakin's descent, I think also says a lot, you know. You know, the need for strong parental figures, you know, sort of the luck, the role of luck in our life, or lack thereof, you know, and also the need to make good decisions, and how decisions can radically influence, you know, the course of things. And obviously also, you know, it's a redemption story too. And the notion that we can all kind of find redemption at the end, you know, sort of regardless of what has come before.
So acting as Anakin Skywalker is dramatically different from Darth Vader because of one major reason, at least I would think, and that would be that helmet, you know, that glorious mask. How do you emote with that mask on and channel your inner Darth Vader without being able to actually say anything? I mean, I would assume you just hum the Imperial March. It's probably a little bit more complicated than that.
Definitely the Imperial March kind of just plays in your head the whole time. Even when I was playing Anakin, that was just kind of playing in my head the whole time. But yeah, putting the costume on, putting the Darth Vader costume on and putting that mask on really imparts a feeling, and there's a long kind of history in my profession of working with masks, and the Darth Vader mask is such a powerful one, so it's easy to emote. You may not actually perceive any of that, and maybe it's all just for me, but that's okay. But just kind of his mannerisms and the way he moves, that's all sort of defined before my involvement, and so there's a continuity there that we needed to adhere to, and that was really important to everybody. But there was a Vader movement specialist on set that I got to work with to sort of just make sure that everything was ringing true to Vader, and yeah, I mean, it's always kind of been a collective effort, this character, and it's been a great honor to get to sort of be one of many who have contributed to him.
Hayden, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Vader during this time period. What is his state of mind?
It's not very good. He's in a very dark place, and he's had sort of 10 years to just kind of live in this very sort of imprisoned life, and that was something that Deborah and I spoke a lot about, was wanting to convey this feeling of power, obviously, but also imprisonment. Vader, or Anakin rather, is kind of trapped in a lot of ways, I think it's interesting to sort of theorize, sort of what degree of Anakin is in there, and when those sort of moments might present themselves. I like the idea of sort of Vader in his meditation chamber. It's kind of all the things that you can maybe start to think about. But yeah, I mean, he's very much consumed by very negative emotions, and that's all what sort of fuels his dark side abilities, and so because of that, he's very powerful in this series, and we're at a point in the timeline chronologically that is kind of the closest to Anakin in his prime, and I think that's sort of an interesting place to start from.
Visit us over at fangirlsgoingrogue.com. For social media, Fangirls Going Rogue. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at FGGoingRogue. Tricia, you can find at Fangirl Cantina. Sarah at Jedi Tink. And Sandra at Geek Chic 9. You can leave us a voicemail, 331-21-EWOKs. Email us, contact at fangirlsgoingrogue.com. Facebook, just type Fangirls Going Rogue, and we also have the private Facebook group. You just have to answer the 3 questions. And please go to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. We need your reviews so more people can find us. Until next time, yub, yub.
They're coming.
stay hidden, or we will not survive.